welcome to another video edition of Womenize Inspiring Stories. Every week we publish interviews with women from the games industry on our blog who like to share their experiences, talk about their careers, and of course give also advice to other women in the industry. So if you want to learn more, go to womenize.net, but please stick with us now because I have a fantastic guest today. It's Erinda Jaupaj. Hi.
Hi,
good to see you. So
thank
I
you.
will just very quickly introduce you so people know who you are. So Erinda is a backend engineer currently working for Wooga. And she has a master degree in computer science from the University of Trento in Italy. She started her career in 2013 working in different small startups as a generic software developer. And being a generalist, she tried a bit of everything like mobile, full stack, machine learning, until she decided that backend was what inspires her. So that is when she decided to join Wooga as a backend engineer. And in her free time, she helps out women that want to enter the tech path. She started this by creating a supporting group and back when she was living in Italy. And now she dedicates one-on-one time to whoever reaches out to her. So that's quite impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. So where are you now?
So now I'm in Berlin.
And I think it's sunny outside and the best weather I can imagine, because that's the cliche I have of Italy.
Yeah, the weather changes every 5 minutes.
Okay. So Erinda, it's so nice to have you here. And I already had this in your introduction, but can you please explain, like, what did you decide that you want to go a software development path? What inspired you? How did you choose this job?
Okay, so I have to say that when I started to work, I started as mobile, and I found it a bit easier having UI to deal with me because like it was my beginning. And after that, I started got interest in full stack, so I changed my job. And then like I'm in general quite a generalist, and I see that I cannot like stick around for too much with one technology. And there was also a period where I did freelance, where I took over lots of different projects because I wanted to see a bit of like how could it be to do data science and what can I do with machine learning. And so I tried to get all these small projects till I finally said, okay, now I want to see how it is to do backend, because in general, when it came to the UI, I noticed that I didn't have the patience for it. So it was more of a trial, like try something, figure this out, and see if it will be something that will keep me engaged for a longer time. And so far, I think that with backend, I have settled, like I like it. And at the moment at Wooga, I like it because I can do like a little bit of both worlds. So one, it is coding, and the other one is taking care of our infrastructure. So there is always a lot to learn, and I never get bored. And I think that's it. Like lots of trial, just see what clicks to you and what will keep you engaged for the longer run.
Yeah, I think that's important in every job. So I personally, I do not have any programming or coding skills, whatever. So just in very simple terms, for people out there like me, what is your actual daily job? What do you do as a backend engineer, programmer?
So in general, it is maintaining and also developing new services that are used by our games. This means that 80% of my time is coding. And then, but I mean, it seems a little bit boring just saying coding, right? But it includes a lot more, because to be able to go down into the coding part, you have to understand all the requirements that your client has. So there is lots of communication going on between teams to discover what they need and how we can help them better. And then basically is building these services for them so that they can introduce them maybe in the new tools or in the new games that they are doing. And also we have to make sure that services that we build are reliable and are live 24/7. This would mean sometimes waking up at night and trying to fix things if they go wrong. There is, when it comes to coding, there is lots of creativity including, because there are so many services and it is a huge infrastructure, and so you have to find ways how you can introduce new things so that it is easier also for your teammates to build on top of them, and also introduce in a way so that you have room to grow further.
Yeah, I can.
I hope.
My next question would be, so which part of your job do you think is the most challenging? So for me, I think it would be getting up at night because there's some alarm going off and I have to work like in 3 o'clock in the morning. But is that the most challenging part in your job, or what is it?
I would say no, because we really work hard to have our services stable, so it doesn't happen so often. It might happen very rarely, but most of the time it is always it is because of services we depend on that are external, and maybe something has changed without us knowing or without us being prepared or told before that this would happen, right? Because you don't have control over all the external services you go and communicate in. But I would say that the most challenging part of my job, definitely, I would mention microservices. So a microservice is basically a small service that does very good one thing. For example, we have a service that does authentication, and that's it. This would mean that it will check, are you rightly logged into the game, maybe through Google or Facebook or Apple. And so we have all these, we have this authentication that service that maybe is replicated 30 times because of all the millions of users that Wooga have. So this means that once you replicate things, now you have concurrency problems, because all these services want to go and save data maybe in the same place, right? And they are doing the same thing because it is just a duplication. And now you have to deal with concurrency by saying, okay, which one of these services has the right data, right? Which maybe they are all right. Maybe a user went on 2 different routes, right? And they sent 2 different requests and they are both right. So you have to deal which one actually is the one that you should choose, or how to handle these problems. And this, unfortunately, is something that comes with microservices. And also, maybe something that I would mention is, for example, we have the authentication service, and we have maybe another service that handles the game state. So these 2 services communicate with each other, but also the game state might be needed by another service. What happens if one of these services is not available anymore? Now we don't want our whole system go down, right? It still has to work even though some component is not there. Another problem, I would say, in general, is figuring out requirements. So we are the only backend team, and so it means that in general we have to avoid making a solution that is specifically done for only one game. So we have to make it generic enough so that the whole games, existing one, but also games that will come later, still can use that service. So also that going through all the communication process and then understanding with our team and with the others how we can better build these new services.
The way you talk, I really feel that you love your job. So I think everybody knows that unfortunately women in tech jobs are still a minority. So how diverse is your team at Wooga?
So unfortunately, I am still a minority. In my team, I am the only woman at the moment. But this is something that a little bit has followed me through all my years of experience from one company to the other. And and before I was not in the gaming industry. I was from mostly working in startups, and still women in general, like also in the whole company, not only in tech, were the minority. But at Wooga, the whole staff is 40% female. So comparing to the industry, in the gaming industry that is 30%, Wooga is doing a lot better. And also they, in the last 5 years, this has been their focus to improve this gender diversity. And this has been through lots of changes in the interview process, and we have lots of internal trainings that have to do with anti-bias and also how people interview. So I'm only hopeful that things would change with time.
Okay, so please tell me more about that supporting group that you created.
Yes, so since I started university, let's say my first week of university, it was, I remember this room full with people, and we were 150 students inside, and only 10 were female. The ratio is quite big, right? And then this hunted me, let's say, also when I started working, so the numbers didn't improve at all. To be able to meet other female tech, I would go into events that were dedicated only for women, like Django Girls or Ruby on Rails Tech Days. But those were the problem was that we would go through a day or 2 days of development, and then there were no lasting relationship after that. So I wouldn't meet with these people anymore. So I really wanted to have a space where I could meet also people that had more experience than me, but still were looked like me, and also a place where people could come and not just code, but also talk about joys and pains of being in the tech industry. So I discussed this with one of my ex-colleagues, and she was totally thrilled about it. Then the company where we're working in gave us the space. So after 6 p.m., when everyone was leaving, that would be the space for our tech girls. It started quite well, actually. There were people every week. After we started with doing some teaching in the beginning, so just to be able to get some people to come in, and then after that people were starting to ask, can you do this for us next time, can you do that? And so we started managing from their request, and we trying to give them something every time they came. Now after that we both left, so me and her both left Italy, and the good thing is that people that were there before and were attending, now they are managing it. And so it is still going on, and it has lots of people, it has grown so much, and yeah, I'm quite happy for what they have continued to doing.
So what is the name of the group, and how can people contact?
Now I think it's called Voxel. Before it was called Girls in Tech, so very gender specific, but yeah, now it is called Voxel.
Okay, so please send me the URL, the page, so I will put that in our video, because future view can do that.
Yeah.
So are there any personal projects you're working on right now that you can already share with us, something exciting going on?
No, not really.
Okay, I get it. It's all super secret, I know. Yeah, so if you had one advice that you could give to people, or something that you say, gosh, could have somebody told me that before I entered the industry, what would that be?
So I think that in general, it took me quite a lot of time to understand what I wanted to do. Like it was almost 5 years of trying different things. And what I would have suggested myself was to find a mentor before. So someone with way more experience than me, that with whom I could confront ideas and understand what was the world out there. I think you don't have any idea once you go out of university, like you learn all these tools, right? But then when you go to work, it's totally another thing, because now you have to handle clients. And so basically, yes, having someone that has more experience than you and could like pave a path for you, it would be awesome.
Okay, yeah, sounds great. Everything you told me is totally exciting. And if you want to learn more, then you just go to our website, because we have so many other women on our website that we already interviewed, and they share inspiring stories. So have a look at womenize.net. Thank you so much for being with us today, Erinda, and thank you for sharing your story. And I hope you have inspired people out there. And yeah, you out there, thanks for joining us today, and I see you next time. Bye bye, Erinda, and bye bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.